And it says we are live. There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you might be when you are seeing this broadcast. I appreciate you joining. I'm Stan Shields. I am here with Kevin Tracy, and we are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope this morning. And we're going to do something kind of fun today. We're going to talk a little bit about productivity apps that you can use to help you up your game a little bit, be better at your game. I thought it was kind of fun to maybe have Kevin come on and we can talk about it and share some of this, because what typically happens, you see, is I will find some app that I'm super excited about, and I will tell Kevin about this app. I'll say, oh, I found this really cool app. It's blah, 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 blah. And he goes, oh, yeah, that is cool. But listen to this one. He's got another one, right? And then he just rattles off like dozens and dozens of apps, it seems like. I don't know if it's dozens, but it seems like it's dozens, right? So at any rate, we'll do a quick introduction here with Kevin Tracy. But before I get into that, if you have not already liked my Facebook page, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, or what is the other thing that I'm on? Or subscribe to my group. I have a Facebook group, Small Office, Home Office Success Systems. And so if you have not liked or subscribed or followed or whatever it is on whichever platform it is that you're on, then make sure you go do that for me and follow along. And I'm going to continue to just try and bring you some interesting content, especially from the technology standpoint in the world. And now, just to also say, on Wednesdays, I typically will do a pivot day Wednesday. You know how people say hump day? Well, this is pivot day. Wednesday is pivot day, right? And I will interview people who have taken their business to a new level or have learned to pivot with this COVID-19 thing. A lot of business, some people have decided to just shut down and do nothing and try and wait it out. What none of us realized is that COVID-19 would last as long as it has. I pretty much thought we'd be done with it in a few weeks. And here we are now, several months later. So I have an interview tomorrow with Ace Fair of Legal Shield. And Ace is going to share with us his story on how he pivoted with COVID-19. And because Ace was one of those people that did everything face-to-face, meeting-wise. And so that really changed the way that he was doing business. So that'll be a good thing that'll be a good interview with that. I also, on Thursday, is my Thrive Time Thursday. Thrive. Not just survive, but thrive. So Thrive Time Thursday. And I have the Catlows that will be joining me. And the Catlows are a very interesting story, because many of us have read the book by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week. You've read that, right, Kevin? Or you've at least heard of it, right?
Oh, yeah. Years ago.
Years ago, right? And at the time that Tim Ferriss wrote this book, there were a number of people, many of us, that were like, wow, yeah, that would be really cool if we could pull that off. But that's just kind of a pipe dream. It's not real or whatever. Well, guess what? Tim Ferriss's book has literally changed the world in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs that took that to heart and have actually embraced that and are doing much of it. And so the Catlows are one of those families that they're doing it. They're living the dream. So come join me on Thursday for Thrive Time Thursday. Easy for me to say, right? Hard for me to say. Join me for Thrive Time Thursday with the Catlows. That'll be kind of a fun interview as well. So let's see. Let's talk about our favorite apps. And so I asked Kevin to come up with maybe 5 of what are his favorite apps, and I would come up with 5 favorite apps. And then I added a couple more. So I'm going to throw a surprise one at Kevin that he surprised me with one time. I'm going to throw that to him at the very end and have him talk about it, because I think it's really cool, right? But we're going to keep it as a surprise for him. Torture. Okay. Let's see here. So I'm going to let you go first. You're the guest, all right? What is your first favorite app?
My first favorite app is one that's called Freedom, and the website is freedom.to. And I stumbled onto it. Gosh, what was it? Probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. But I've always dealt with fairly significant ADHD or ADD, and I get distracted really, really easy. And I forget where I was, and about an hour later, I circle back eventually to what I was working on when I got distracted. And what I find is that if I can eliminate the distractions proactively, I stay focused and I get a lot more done. So what Freedom does is you set a time, and it lives on your phone or your computer. You can put it on as many computers as you want, and then they sync so that you can't cheat and go jump on your laptop and like scroll through Instagram for an hour and when you should be working, because it shuts it down too. And what it does is lets you put together a list of websites. So if you're like a news junkie like me, I have a list of news websites that I have on there. And then when I start a session, all of those sites are blocked. I can't go to them. And you can set it up to block Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and any other social media, or as many, whatever websites distract you, like maybe it's ESPN. You can block ESPN. Wow. And the cool thing is you can set it up with sessions. So I usually do like a 30 or 40-minute session, or sometimes like an hour and a half. And you just click it and it goes, and it's really a pain in the butt to turn it off, which is great because you have to like disable it, and then you don't have to reboot, but it's a couple of hoops that you don't necessarily want to jump through, and it's enough of a deterrent to just stay focused. And so what I find is I use it and I can stay focused for whatever time it is. And then when it dings or when it's done, then I know, okay, I just worked for 30 minutes. I'm going to get up and take a 2-minute break and walk around or get something to drink and then start again.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool. I like that one. All right. So my first one that I'm going to do is Appointlet. And now I am an affiliate for Appointlet. And so I put my affiliate link up there. Now, however, here's the thing. Appointlet has a free version and a paid version. And the thing that originally got my attention with Appointlet is that in the free version, it will do the things that all these calendars do of setting up. You can set up your appointment types, and you're able to then have people go and book time with you based on whatever your appointment type is. And so some of what I have is I've got a 15-minute meeting that's just a quick networking meeting, that kind of thing. I have a 30-minute networking meeting, and I've got a 1-hour networking meeting. And then I've got a 2-hour business consultation of working with a client. I have a 4-hour consultation session of working with a client. So you can set up a lot of different meeting types. You can set those up in order you can have people pay for them, or they can be free. I mean, it integrates with Stripe. But the thing that got my attention was that it integrated with Zoom as well as WebEx and Google Hangouts and whatever, all these others. And what's really cool about it is that it was the first one that I saw that would actually integrate so tightly that it would schedule the appointment. When you schedule the appointment, it would also schedule the Zoom call. And if somebody then changed it, it actually changes the Zoom call time, and it changed it on my calendar. I had another system that would cost me more money if I wanted that tight integration, and this was free. It was built in with the tight integration with Google and with Office 365 calendars. And so I just loved that it was one in this free package. You could get that level of integration and so forth. And so that's my all-time favorite. And so I talked to people a lot about it. And then I looked to see, did they have an affiliate program? Because I thought, you know what, I'm going to be recommending this thing like crazy anyway. And so if so, and if you love it enough to get the paid version, which is only $8 a month if you pay for it annually, so $96 a year, and you've got this amazing tool that will integrate with the rest of what you do. Like for me, ActiveCampaign, with Zoom, with the Google Calendar, with all of that. So Appointlet is my first one that I'm going to start with. So All right, you get to go next. What's yours?
Okay, so right on the heels of Freedom, I always use these two together. I use one that's called Focusatwill, and it's focusatwill.com, FOCUSATWILL.com. And it gives you, now there's a cost, and I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's fairly reasonable. It's kind of a background music type program, and so you can use, like sometimes I'll use Amazon if I've got Amazon Prime. They've got channels that'll do like electronic music or background music and stuff like that, like you would hear like going to a Starbucks, right? This one has a whole range of channels, and what I like about it is there's two, and I can't remember the other one. I tried both of them. Was it Brain FM, I think is the other one. And I tried both of them side by side for a while, and I went back to Focusatwill. I liked it better. And they've got, it's not a huge playlist, so you can hear the same things again and again, but they've got channels like, nature sounds like waves and rivers and stuff like that. They used to get in those cheesy, go to sleep sound makers that they sold a long time ago. They're sort of like that, but they're amped up. They also have some that have binaural sounds, so it taps into your brain's connectivity, and because it oscillates between left and right, it sets up. It can strengthen like the alpha waves in your brain, things like that. They have channels that are dedicated to people that are highly ADHD, and they're based on research that says this type of music or this type of background noise actually helps you focus, and then you can set the intensity of it. So like low intensity, medium intensity, high intensity. And I usually have like a kind of a electronic cafe funky beat going on in the background, medium intensity. And what I do is when I start a Freedom session, like for 40 minutes, as soon as I hit go on Freedom, then I hit go on Focusatwill for 40 minutes. And so then I've got the two working together. I've got the background music, and then that helps me, for whatever reason, I've trained my brain now that when that happens, I get in the zone and I'm able to focus. And I'm usually really surprised how fast the time goes.
That's the best way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And those two working hand in hand worked really well for me.
Nice. Okay. Very good. All right. I like that. Let's see here. Let me just see if I can find my next one. So I'll put it on the screen. All right. Good. Evernote. Now, I did I don't know why all those dots are in there. Oh, well. I did a review of Evernote, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago. So I'm not going to go into depth with it, but Evernote has been my favorite go-to app for note-taking, to-do lists. I think I counted up all the different notebooks, is what they call them in Evernote, and I have over 100 different notebooks in there. And this has been since 2011 that I've actually been using it. And so you get a notebook, and then under the notebook, you can put as many notes as you want in there. And then within a note, you can create lists and check boxes and, all kinds of stuff in there. I actually have one for Costco. So when I go to Costco, I've got my Costco list, and I have everything. I go through the list at home and check everything that I want to get. Then when I go through Costco, I just uncheck it as I put it in my basket, right? So anything left checked is something that I didn't want, or I just decided not to get it, or I couldn't find it. They didn't have it, whatever. That's one of the challenges with Costco, right? They don't always have everything all the time. But Evernote is also, it's one of those that I find that sometimes I'm on the fly and I want to just take a quick note about something. It's an idea that I get, or even taking a picture. In fact, I saw this thing. I went through the review that I did of Evernote. I think I went through like 30 or 40 different uses of Evernote. I found a few articles that had all these interesting ways that people are using it. And so if you want to see that, go back over to the review that I did a few weeks ago, and then you'll get the whole list of everything you can do in Evernote. but it's a free app. There is a paid version for it as well, but I've actually never used the paid version because the free version does just about everything that I would want to do. So Evernote is kind of my go-to app. If there's one favorite app that I have, it's probably Evernote, because it's just, I've had it for years and I just haven't gotten rid of it. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. So that'll stay on my stable. So, all right. What's your next one?
My next one is called Hemingway, and it's a writing Hemingway. Yeah, it's a writing app, and I absolutely love it. So I do a lot of copywriting for clients, and Hemingway as a writer was famous for being very, very concise, very terse, and very matter of fact about what he said. So not a lot of flowery words, not a lot of superlatives, actually none. And what the app does is it goes through and it flags everything in your writing that says this sentence is really long and hard to read, and it color codes it on the screen. So you have a sentence that's really long and complicated, it's red. One that's long and fairly complicated and might be hard to read is yellow. And then it'll like give like things that are in the passive tense, like is something is going to be, or whatever it's something that's not an active tense. It flags that as a passive tense because it's a weaker form of the language. It's a weaker form of grammar. It's very much reactive, and it doesn't carry the same weight of saying something that in the affirmative that's very active. And then it'll have like it'll say this is a complicated word. Let's use something simpler for a description. And it can even flag things where you write stuff, use the same word several times. And I like to use it first to get all my kind of like my writing roughed in. And I'll take it in, and I'll use another. We are only covering 5, so the other one I use a lot is Grammarly. I actually like that a lot. There's a couple out on AppSumo that I've tried, but I didn't like them as well as Grammarly. But those two hand in hand work really well to get your language pared down and grammatically correct. And I like both of those. But Hemingway by far is the easiest, and it's just a super simple interface. It's just type on a screen, and you can make things bold or italic, and that's about it.
Huh.
Yeah.
I have to go to Hemingway. When you first told me about Hemingway, I thought, wow, I really need that app. I need to go do that. And I have no idea why I haven't, other than it's kind of like the way my world is these days, is always in a hurry or working fast and just, and I just forget about it until somebody says something, about it. So I'm going to have to go and mark that as a page to go and actually learn how to use that, so that, because it sounds like it would not be that difficult and doesn't take very much time, and it would be very useful to use a tool like that. So.
Yeah, and so there's the free version is online, and you just log in and you can do whatever you want to on it, but you can't save the files. I actually bought the app, and I use it on my laptop and on my desktop, and that way I can save the files and go back to it. So if I'm working on 2 or 3 projects at the same time, then I'll have each one open, save it, and go back, and it's its own format. So it's instead of like a DOC for a Word doc, it's I think HMG or whatever their tag is for the app.
File extension.
For their file extension. And I use it a lot.
Nice. Yeah, Hemingway sounds like it's one that I really do need to get.
Yep, and it's only one M in HemingwayApp.com.
Oh, see, there you go. I messed it up. All right, so 1M. Let's go in there. Never mind, never mind. We'll fix it later. So that's it. Let's go. The next one for me is, I've got this one. How many have we done so far? I've done 3 and you've done 3, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to skip over that one because I have another favorite that I like better than this. I'll talk about this one. I'll talk about the other one later. Slack and Trello. I should have put those two on the same thing, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand. in terms of communication. But the Slack does, and I first heard about this on, what's his name? Pat Flynn's, one of Pat Flynn's broadcasts and whatnot. He was talking about how this reduced the email communication for them, for their organization. And if you think about it, this is one of my big gripes these days. One of the things that I'm seriously trying to figure out is I probably get more than 100 emails a day. So I probably just need to delete some of those emails, number one. Quit subscribing to things, right? But but when you think about it, if you're going back and forth and you're in an organization and you're sending files back and forth and you've got email communication going back and forth, it makes it more difficult to follow that thread of that communication. And if somebody breaks the chain and doesn't reply to all or something like that, makes it really difficult to follow the conversation and the audit trail, so to speak, of what's happened with this thing, whatever it is you're working on. And so Slack gives you the ability to have all that conversation in one place. It kind of divides things into channels. And so and this threw me off in the very beginning. I was like, I don't get this, right? But it's a hashtag and then whatever it is you want. And so it could be hashtag marketing, hashtag a specific project, hashtag, your website, hashtag, whatever it is that you're working on, the different areas that you might be working on in your business. You just put a hashtag, whatever that is. And then you invite the collaborators to that channel, so that now when you have a conversation about that project or that particular item, it's all in this one place. So you can literally just scroll up and down the page. You can see dates and times and all of that. You can store files in there with it, so you can upload documents right to it, so that you have you just have everything all in one place. And it integrates with just about everything. So it integrates directly with Trello. It integrates with your Google Drive, if that's what you've got, and I believe with Dropbox. And it integrates with just about everything. So whatever the other tools are, you can typically connect those and bring all of your communications into one place. So I've been using Slack and Trello together for probably the last, 3 or 4 years. And at one point I kind of slipped away from using it, and I don't know why I did, but it was like, oh my gosh, things are getting out of control. Well, yeah, let's go back to doing that, right? And I don't know why I went away from it in the first place. But Slack, I'm just going to count Slack and Trello together as one of mine that I like. And so put those two together, and they really go hand in hand and work well together. So, all right, what is your next one?
Yep, and I'll pile on that and say I love Slack and use it all the time.
Oh, good.
So agree with that. The next one's called Noosie, and it's NUSII.com, and I use it for proposals. So being a creative, a lot of times I'll have like a web project or a branding package, and I have found that I was reusing boilerplate language, but I would unfortunately, and I was using like a Word doc template for that. And what I found is there were occasions where I would let's say I sent a proposal to a lawyer for a new website, but it had language in it from a car dealership. It was embarrassing. So they would write back and say, this all looks great, but I have no need for, a page about inventory management. And say, oh yeah, gee, sorry that got left in there. My bad. So anyway, sorry. What I would do is just keep reusing that. And what I found Noosie is you can save blocks of proposals, and you can send, you can move them and shuffle them around. You can set prices. They can choose like different price options, like a silver, gold, platinum level price, things like that. And then when they sign it, when they open it, You get notified when they open it. When they sign it, you're notified. You can, on the higher levels, if you pay for it, you can integrate it with your payment system so they can pay right there through it. I've just got the cheap level. And then the rest is pretty simple.
Wow.
I use it for multiple things, and I'll have blocks like basic website or a basic branding package, and then I can reuse it. And then I have blocks that are boilerplate that don't change. They're always the same for the clients. And then I've got blocks that are client specific, and I can see those, and then I know I need to change the language and reflect what we had, like in our discovery call or extra details that they requested. I can put that in there, and then the rest of it I don't have to worry about making, leaving things from previous clients in there and having them see that and being embarrassed. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
cool.
That is cool. That sounds very useful as well. I think I need that app also. I told you always come up with really good stuff that just makes me go, oh my gosh, all right, I need to do something with that. All right, this is. I said Evernote was my favorite tool. This one might be my absolute favorite tool. Audible. Just listening to books, right? Gosh, I've had the Audible account. I don't even know how many years that's been in place. That's probably 10 years or more. I don't know. It's been a very long time. But I've gotten to the point where I really like listening to books. Now it's a little bit harder for me because I'm not driving around town as much. It used to be that I would be driving around town, going to the appointments all over the place. And it made it really easy to get on, just put in a book, listen to a book while I'm driving around. So while we're driving, somebody coined a phrase, and I can't even remember what the phrase is now, but it was something like, automobile university or car university or something like that, where you're studying and learning while you're driving around in your vehicle. So I love to do that. Now I still listen to Audible when I go walk or something like that. I will do that, but it's just, to me, it's one of my favorite tools of just being able to get more knowledge and information. And really the next one that I'll wait and talk about that because we'll do that. I want to jump ahead, right? So, all right, you get to go next. So this is your last one. This is your fifth one, right?
Yeah, this is my fifth one. And this one's just more bookkeeping and stuff. I use an app called Wave.
Yep.
And waveapps.com. And it's a really simple billing or invoicing tool. And you set up your client or your customer profile, their name and address and everything, and then you can create really, really simple branded invoices and tie it to a bank account or whatever. So I've got 2 business accounts, and I can send the funds right there. For a while during the height of COVID, they waived their instant payout fees, and so for 0% out of pocket, you could take, like if somebody paid with, say, a credit card or a bank transfer, you could have it transferred to your account immediately without any bank charges. They for credit cards, it's the same rate as like PayPal and anybody else. They're all roughly the same. Mm-hmm. It's like 2.72, 2.77 something. And then you can do that. You can also request, like for larger projects over, things over $1,500. Mm-hmm. I typically will deselect the options for credit card, and I'll only leave check or ACH, direct bank to bank payment, because credit card, at that level, you're starting to pay much more out of pocket for a credit card or purchase by the clients. And sometimes they'll request it. They're like, we only do business with a credit card, and so I'll turn it back on, and then they can pay with a credit card. But I use that to discourage it and just encourage the ACH. And with ACH, it's just a 1% surcharge.
Gotcha.
So it works out really nice. It pings you when they open the invoice, and you get an email that says, client ABC opened your invoice and looked at it, so you know that they've actually seen it. And then you can set it to send them a reminder if 3 days after the due date, and 7 days and 10 days, and you can set custom reminders as well. And it's a little bit limited. I mean, you can write a note to them. Hey, John, here's the invoice for the brand project. I really enjoyed working on it. I hope we can continue our partnership together. Kevin, and then, send that, and it's got your logo on it.
Nice.
And then what I'll do, what I like is too, you can set it up like, say you do some hourly work, then it's like, say $120 an hour, and you can put in 5.5 hours and it automatically figures out what that cost should be. But also on large projects, like say it's a website and it's the final price is $7,742, something odd like that. And if I charge them, say 40% up front and then 30% and 30% during the length of the project, what I can do is have that cost there. And then under hours, I can put 0.4 or 0.3, and then it'll bill them for exactly that percentage, and I'll have to figure it out. And I mean, just little things like that make it easy. And then you keep a record of all your invoices. If you have repeat customers with the same thing, you can just duplicate an invoice and make whatever changes you need to, and it speeds up the process.
Nice. That's nice. And this is how much?
It's free for the basic. Yeah, for the basic, it's free. I did Xero for a while, Xero, which is what my CPA wants me to use, but it's like, geez, it's like $29 a month, which is more than I want to spend. And it can still use Wave. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles like Xero or QuickBooks. And for me, all I need is something I can make sure that I get the bill out to them. I have a record, and I can get the money from them into my account without having to get a check in the mail and then potentially lose it or forget about it on my desk for a month. And
Yep. Yeah, I know that feeling. So very good, very good. All right, this last one is not really an app. It's really much more of there's a number of different apps, and there was one that I had on my Android, and I cannot remember what the heck it is, but it's podcasts. It's almost like it's kind of like I said with the book, with Audible. I love Audible, but podcasts, man, and podcasts these days has really skyrocketed in terms of the number of listeners, but it's also skyrocketed in terms of the number of people that are creating their own podcasts. It seems like everybody's creating a podcast these days. And I've actually kicked around the idea as well, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. So we'll see. Okay. But, Apple has their podcast app on their phone, which makes it super easy to just listen to the podcast right on your iPhone. But Android has a number of apps that are great. There's Stitcher that's out there, I guess, but there's I think the one I used to use on my Android, I believe it was called Podcast Addict, and I think that's what it was. But there's a number of them, and they're all great. They all work really well for the most part. But I just love the whole podcast thing, right? Just because once again, it's that learning in your car, learning while you walk. It's just a way to feed the brain with some good, healthy stuff, and maybe sometimes unhealthy stuff, because podcasts they run the gamut from what's available to you, right? All right, so so that's our 10. Let's go back and just review real fast here. So Kevin had Freedom, Focusatwill, Hemingway, Noosie, and Wave. And then I talked about Appointlet, Evernote, Slack, kind of Slack and Trello. Oh, I never talked about Haystack, did I? I jumped right over Haystack. But we're not going to talk about Haystack, though. I'm going to have you talk about, what time is it? No, we're not going to talk about Haystack because we're going too long. I'm going to have you finish with this last one, AppSumo. Okay, so tell them about AppSumo. I love this thing.
AppSumo is kind of dangerous because it's like if you're an app geek, it's like being a kid in a candy store.
Dangerous.
So
right.
You can sign up and you can get like the free level, or you can get a membership and you get deeper discounts. But they have some really cool apps that sometimes it's sort of like Kickstarter. You have an app that's new on the market and they want to make a splash, and so they jump on there. Like you mentioned podcast. I have a client that does podcasts every week, and we got an app on AppSumo called Buzz. What's it called? Buzzsprout. Yeah, BUZZSPROUT. Podcasting platform. They love it, and we got a killer deal on it. So they migrated everything from I think it was Podbean over to Buzzsprout, and they really like it. It's working really well we found the deal on AppSumo.
Nice.
And you have to look through it and just keep an eye on things that pop up. Sometimes they have limited amounts, and there's sometimes where they'll have an app that's really cool and it's a killer deal and it'll sell out.
Yeah, and so when you say killer deal, give them an example of what you mean by killer deal. These truly are killer deals.
Well, getting a $1,500 app for $39.95.
Right. Yeah, as in $39.95.
Yeah, $39.95 for a lifetime license.
Lifetime, right? So
right.
That's to me that just blows me away. I am going, oh my gosh.
And they have licenses too that are, you have apps that are, maybe they're $99 a year for an ongoing subscription, but you pay $29 and you get a lifetime subscription at a level that's even higher. And so you have to kind of do the math yourself, and sometimes you're on the fence, you're like, it's all right deal, but sometimes there's some really good ones tucked in there. Yeah. And the cool thing is when you have a brand new platform that pops up, and even things that you've used, like I have a client that runs Amelia for their booking and really liked it, but it's a little bit expensive. It's like, I think it's $69 a year. Or I can't remember, maybe it's a monthly fee, but I got 2 licenses for myself, one to resell to a future client and one for me that I use it on my website, scrum.marketing. And I love it. And it was like $29 for lifetime. So lifetime upgrades and everything, no subscription costs, nothing. That was kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. And it works out really well. There's that. And then I was going to say, you mentioned podcasts. My favorite tool is one called Overcast.
Overcast.
Yeah. And I like it just because you can curate podcasts on your phone and keep track of them. And you can change the speed on the fly. So I always listen to podcasts, like depending on who's speaking, 1.5 to 2 times normal speed.
Okay.
And it does a really good job of compressing the time without making them sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Right. And what was that one again? Spell it again.
Overcast, like it's an overcast. Overcast Sky.
CAST.com. Okay.
I think
Overcast.com. All right, great.
Yeah, but that's one of the go-to apps on my, like I keep a minimal number of apps on my phone, and like my main screen is Overcast and Amazon Music, Audible that you mentioned, Trello, Slack, Voxer, and Wave, Otter. We didn't talk about Otter. Otter's an awesome. Otter.ai is an awesome transcription program, and Upwork. That's pretty much it. That's all I got on my main screen.
Yeah. See, this is what I said, folks, when I said that he always has a whole bunch of these things. He just keeps coming up with more and more and more. So, all right. So to close out, let's have you tell people who you are and what it is that you do. And I'm going to put your info up here so that it scrolls across the screen, because and let me try and get rid of that other one that's down there. Let's get rid of that. But you are creative director for Scrum Marketing. So what does that really mean? What do you do?
I've been a designer. I've been a creative team lead in corporate world, like at Hallmark Cards. I've been creative director for multi-million-dollar projects and brand management for them. But I've also traveled the world. I've been a missionary and a pastor. And what I try to do with Scrum.marketing is merge both those worlds. So the kind of the non-tangible, intangible cultural communication pieces that I picked up from traveling around the world and building teams in Africa and Latin America, things like that, actually apply really well to our world right now, as fractured as it is and as difficult as it can be to communicate. I've had the the incredible privilege of working with indigenous leadership around the world, in China, in Africa, and in Latin America, and just seeing the incredible ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit there, and developing tools to make sure that partnerships and collaborations work equitably, that we don't come in as the great American hope saying, hey, we've got all the answers, but we go in humbly and asking a lot of questions and listening very, very actively to what they say. Those same skill sets actually apply really well right now to the corporate world, especially with branding and corporate messaging on websites and emails and things like that, that the posture of your language and the posture of your graphics can go a long way to diffusing unconscious tensions with your clients and help to connect more readily, because you're not having to help them get over barriers of misread or misunderstood or misconstrued communications. And you can speak more directly and more truthfully and more honestly. And I think you resonate on a deeper level.
Nice.
Anyway, so I combine all my design background. I was a web designer for a long time as well. I've got all those skill sets, but mainly I focus on helping companies get their voice crystal clear, get their customers, their customer avatar drilled down to a very, very narrow focus, so that they can speak more directly to them, and then building their brand, helping them build their brand and their messaging, everything around that. So I've got some tools that I use. One is called the Art of the Customer, and it helps you figure out who's your avatar. ART is I like acronyms, being a preacher. A is your avatar. R is the relationship that you build with them. Are you a guru? Are you a guide? Are you the wayfinder? Or are you the sage? Are you Yoda? Are you the one that asks all the questions that they say, oh my gosh, nobody's ever asked me that before, and help them to reach a deeper discovery of themselves? Whatever that is, defining that makes it easier to help lead them forward. And then what's the transformation T, the transformation you get? I've developed a framework called SWOT, the SWOT analysis, and it's stories we tell, the questions that we ask, the unexpected things that we offer, that we have within our organization, we offer our clients, actions we take consistently, and then the threat that we pose to the marketplace. So it takes this traditional SWOT analysis where you're looking at the threat that's posed to you, you turn that upside down, and you give your team a reason to be maybe a little bit cocky, but definitely confident about what you do, and it builds momentum and creates a different posture within the organization. That's number two. And then lastly there's the framework called Heavies, and that's actually the one that seems to be helping companies the most, and it is getting into their overall messaging, and it starts with the heartbeat of your customer. What do they really, really want? Your environment, looking at your red ocean, and then helping to develop a blue ocean that you're moving your business and your offering to, and pinpointing the opportunities you have to create a very distinct advantage within your product or your service against the competitor or your competitors. So HEA is your anchor. That's the product or service, really defining that well within under the light or within the deeper understanding of the heart, what your customer really wants in your environment. So HEA. V is the vehicle, VIE, vehicle, internal, external objections. That's typical sales. What's wrong with, or what are the objections about the product? What are my unconscious biases that would make me not want to buy it, and how can you overcome those? And then what are the things that I have to overcome? I've got to get my spouse to agree, or my boss to agree, or my team to buy off on it. Those are the external things. And then lastly is the sales language that you create out of all that whole process. And what I find is when you get through that, actually, I can think without exception, the customers I've led through that process, their language changes completely. So when they get to the end of the process, the sales language is radically different from what they started with. It resonates much more on a much deeper level with their customers. It gives them clarity internally as well as to what they do and why they do it.
Right. We did an interview with you with regard to the Art of the Customer program, and so that's one of those that go back and look in the video archive, so to speak, and you'll see that interview with him talking about the Art of the Customer framework that he has, and it's absolutely amazing. And in fact, this man is absolutely amazing with just the work that he does with people. It just never ceases to blow my mind with the things that you come up with of how you then twist things around and look at it from a completely different perspective and get the customer looking at it from a completely different perspective, which brings lots of transformation for the customers and their customers. So thank you very much. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out with me and playing this little game of just sharing these different apps with people.
That's all to hang out with you.
Thank you. I don't know what my topic is going to be next week. It'll be Tooltip Tuesday, and we're going to talk about something that'll be kind of a fun tip. And usually it's a technology tool that I bring, but there are going to be some other tools that I bring that are not technology oriented. I'm working on a summit, a systems summit that's coming up in October, and we're going to start doing a little bit of something around it, maybe talk about what some of the systems are and so forth, to maybe share a little bit more along those lines. But we'll see what it is. So come join me next Tuesday for Tooltip Tuesday. Let's see. So if you have not liked my page or the YouTube channel or subscribed or whatever it is, based on whatever platform it is that you're on, because on Periscope, I don't even remember what you do with it. I think you just follow people on Periscope, I think is how it works. But follow, like, subscribe, come join me, hang out with me. I appreciate it. And so thanks for watching today. And I appreciate you. So we'll see you next time. So Kevin, don't go anywhere. Hang on for just a second here.
All right.
We're going to end our broadcast. We'll see everybody. We'll see you next